Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Eleni Sommerschield. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Wise Agent. And today I have my friend Andrea Lane with us. Hey, Andrea.
Hello.
And we are going to be talking about how to build confidence for your real estate career. I think this is a really great conversation that we're going to have. When you and I first met, a little while ago, we started talking about your background and everything, and I'll let you explain your background. And I think that's how we got to this topic was from your background. So I'd love for you to explain to our audience what your background is. And while she's explaining that, guys, if you wouldn't mind going in the chat and posting your comments and post your comments. You can post your comments in there too, but post what city, state, and brokerage you're with and how many years you've been an agent. I'd love to see that and see where everyone is coming in from. So that's always fun for me to see where people are.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So my name is Andrea Lane, or Andrea. Everybody calls me something different, right? That's always the fun joke. And my background, although I would say all the way back to high school, I started speaking. I started a Students Against Drunk Driving group in the state of Nebraska. And I would say that was probably my first, like, build your confidence and not do it because I was afraid to start the group because I wasn't popular, because I didn't think I could get it going. And I lost a friend to a drunk driving accident. And it really kind of kickstarted my let's build confidence. Let's not be that, let that be the thing that holds me from doing stuff. And so I went to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, where I hold a broadcasting degree, I hold a sociology degree, and I also hold a theater degree, which, you know, kind of was the fun of it because I didn't do any theater in high school. And my theater teacher from high school was like, hey, you never did anything here. And I was like, well, it's kind of a popularity contest. I didn't have the confidence I needed at that time to do it, where I gained that as I was in college and so forth. So, you know, I always have some friends like, oh, you've had confidence. How do we get what you have? And that's kind of brought on some of the courses that I like to teach.
Yeah, triple threat with all those degrees. So awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today. I love that. You know, and I think confidence, that is in everything that we do. I mean, I was talking to my team this morning and I said, you know, here at Wise Agent, we are teachers, we are educators to our members, right? So when you call into our support, we're the experts here, and, you know, we have to exude that confidence in order for you all to accept our advice and what we're telling you to do and how to do things within Wise Agent. And so I think that's something that every business person needs to have behind them, is that confidence to really understand that. And what you all do is you have to have confidence that you know the market, you know the industry, you know your neighborhood, you know your community that you're serving, and that you have that confidence that you are the person that people need to talk to. And it begins with that. And then from there you can skyrocket and propel your career to that, whatever that goal is that you have for yourself. So I think that's how confidence kind of ties in with real estate. It's also the confidence to pick up the phone and call somebody, call a complete stranger, the confidence to pick up your phone or to turn on your webcam and record a video.
Well, you got to remember too, look how we met. We met over the phone the first time.
Yeah.
Where I called and chatted with you, you know, so it's that confidence that, hey, I'm calling somebody who on first, I may not get her name right. So there's where we're going to start with, right? And so then you got to go forward and go, okay, well, I'm going to go with this, but then I own it, right? I own, hey, if I mispronounce that, I apologize. But, you know, and then you introduce and you chat. And so, and I think that's a big part of real estate nowadays is done over the phone. Like oftentimes we're meeting over the phone before we ever meet in person. So we don't always have that connection that you get when you're in person with somebody.
Yeah. And I mean, we have people here, I'm looking through the list of comments, and it's like 19 years, 18 years, I saw 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I mean, it runs the gamut of, you know, so I'd love to hear you guys kind of chime in as well on the chat. If you guys have any, you know, any comments on the confidence, if you feel like, you know, especially the ones that have been doing this for, you know, 18 years, 19 years, 6 years, you've been doing it for a while. I mean, do you agree with us saying that, you know, and there's a little raise your hand button on the bottom. If you agree with that, I'd love to see you guys kind of express that too. That would be amazing. You know, one of the things here, like I said, even internally in the office, we need to have that confidence. But when you go out and you're belly to belly and you're talking, because you are, you know, the phone is one thing you can kind of hide behind. No one's seeing you. No one's really, you know, they're not going to be able to laugh and point at your face, right? But you know, if you're belly to belly with somebody, you know, having those conversations, that can be intimidating. It can be kind of hard to stand in front of somebody and say, like, I am the expert at this. Trust me, believe in me. And I think that's where I think a mentor, or you know, that's where like your broker would come into play, your team lead, or another team member, somebody, a friend that can help you kind of lift you up here. I know that happens. You know, we all need that. We need that accountability partner, but that accountability partner will also help with your confidence to give you what you need in order to kind of put yourself out there a little bit.
Well, and I think also you have that opportunity to share knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Because so I've been an agent for almost 17 years now. And one of my team members has been an agent a little over 2.5 years. And then my son is a brand new agent. And even though he's grown up around real estate and so on, you know, from actually having his license has only been like 5 months. And so, you know, I've had that opportunity to kind of see it. And I think it's fun for me also as a team lead, because it helps my confidence as well. Because I mean, we go in and out of being able to have confidence. And I think that's one of the big things I think people forget is, you know, you can see somebody be like, oh, they're really confident. And they have their moments where that confidence is down and they don't have it and they need to pick me up. And I think that's what you're, you know, kind of lending to, is having that accountability person, or that person you can call, where even if you question yourself, you're like, hey, I know this, but I'm going to call them just to back me up, just to kind of say, yeah, you're right. This is how this should go, or whatever. And sometimes it starts from the very basic thing, which is what I taught my kids to do really early on, was introducing yourself. Is remembering, you know, that's kind of a lost art. We just meet people and we automatically assume who they are. And sometimes, you know, it's taking the chance to say, hi, I'm Andrea, and you are, okay, really nice to meet you. You know, and getting that chance to start talking. And I think just those little things start building that confidence that you have when you're in front of them and you're talking.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when we met in person just a few weeks ago, I think it was, in Vegas, I had Camilla Tumu with me, who's so Camilla was our customer support manager. We just promoted her to our director of product development. And so that was nice having someone with me. And when I travel, you know, and sometimes I travel alone and sometimes I travel with some of our staff, it's nice. And when I travel with Camilla, it's nice that I have someone there with me where we can bounce ideas off of each other, and we would have dinner together and having, you know, conversation where you have somebody that you can, you know, like, I'm not sure about this. And let me bounce that idea off of. You can't remember possibly every little thing that's happening in your industry and in your space. But when you have somebody else sometimes with you, that accountability partner, that friendship, that other teammate with you, to be able to say, hey, so what about this thought? What about this idea? What about, you know, whatever it is that we have going on, that also then gives you that confidence, because then they can, yep, that's right, Eleni, or that's right, Andrea, this is how it works. Then, you know, then you feel like, okay, I got this, I'm grounded in this, and I can continue on with what I'm saying. And so that's what I think, you know, people are really wanting to see. And that's why there's this big immersion of like teams and large teams that are happening right now. I'm seeing more and more teams. I've even seen some of the people that are here today on teams. And I love that, because that's where you get to build. So if you are starting off new, that's how you can build off what your expertise is, off of somebody else that's there with you.
To me, it's kind of like that real estate family, right? Your team should be like your real estate family, and you go to your family for advice and so on. And that's that opportunity to have it. And usually within that team, you know, is people that you trust to, you know, help you out. And even if you're not on a team, it's having another, you know, agent that, you know, you could go to and talk and kind of break those out, you know, when you have questions. And always, you know, I think knowledge is power. I really do. And I think the more knowledge you have, the more confident you are. Like you said, when you're going and people have that expectation that even if you've been in the business, you know, some of the people popping on here 6 months, well, they expect you to know everything about the market, like everything that's going on and so forth. And shoot, even, you know, 17 years in the business, you don't always know everything, but at least like where to find that information. And sometimes being able to say, you know what, I'm not 100% sure on the answer for that. Let me get back to you. And then doing that follow up, setting that reminder to, you know, call them, follow up with that information and so forth, which I use my CRM with Wise Agent to do, because that every morning when I get that email and I'm like, okay, what's my list of things I need to do? Who do I have to call? Where's my stuff?
Yeah. And that, and I think that's 100% accurate. I think, you know, one of the questions that we get the most, and I'm seeing that even in today's webinar where, you know, the questions that, so joining on the webinar, when you register for it, we ask you like, what's a question that you have for us? And what I saw over and over again was, okay, when I make phone calls, what am I going to say to somebody? How do I sound more confident? And it's like, well, you'll sound more confident if you know what you're going to say. So what you don't want to say is, you don't want to say, hey, my name is Eleni. Andrea, I want to know, are you looking to buy a house or sell a house? What's happening? Like, that's not at all what you want to say on a phone call when you're calling somebody. That's a big, don't do that. That's a big no-no.
Right. It's a big no-no because it's an immediate sales pitch. And I think, you know, when you're going to call people, because I saw somebody else posted in the comments where they said, you know, confidence to call people, right? And so, and it's interesting because I had this discussion with my son, because part of getting him out there into the real estate world was, I said, hey, you need to start calling some people. I was like, and you know, the only way you're going to get more comfortable with calling people is to just do it, right?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you all the things that are going to happen, but until you make that phone call, you don't know what's going to happen. And so, you know, number one, I always say, like, I always have a notepad in front of me when I call people, because I take notes as I'm talking to them so that I have other talking points. And it's not, I don't call immediately with the, hey, are you looking to buy or sell a house?
Right.
You know,
Right.
if I call, you know, first I'm calling to say, you know, is this Eleni? Did I get the right number? And they say, oh yeah, okay. Well, my name's Andrea, you know, and I'm an agent with Berkshire Hathaway. And sometimes you get, well, I was just looking. Okay, well, what is it that you're looking at that I might be able to help you out with? Because then that opens them to say, well, I don't know what you can help me with. It's not a yes or no question, right? It's delving into other questions where they can talk about stuff. And if they're like, well, I'm looking in this area, well, what brings you to that area? And if they say something that maybe goes, oh, so do you have a son or daughter or a family member that's going to college there? Or just listen for other cues of things they say that aren't necessarily house driven, because sometimes when people are moving to a certain area, I might be like, oh, well, where's home? Where's home for you? And they'll say this. And if you know where that's at, you might be able to say a sports team, or you might be able to say something that's happened there recently, because then it's not sales pitch driven. It's relationship driven. You're trying to get to know them a little more, so that it's not just, oh, hey, I'm trying to get you to buy or sell with me. Hey, do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell in the next 6 months? I mean, those make me cringe to say out loud.
Yeah, nobody wants those calls. I think the other thing is having your call list up and having a script where you either have like a script kind of laid out, like an outline of what you're going to say, or you have the previous conversation so you understand like how did I get this person in my database? Where do they come from? Maybe they're a lead. We bought an internet lead or some internet lead source. And then that will kind of prompt you to understand how the conversation will go. But you should have some kind of system that will tell you who this person is in relationship to who you are and to what you're trying to accomplish with them. That's really that's what it boils down to, is that when you understand like a full picture of that person, it will give you that ability to connect and relate. You want to, because it's not just about relating like, oh, you like the Bears, I like the Bears. Okay, well, yeah, that's fine. But how does that what does that do? Like, you have to connect. You have to really have a good connection with somebody, and then be able to come back and like 6 months later, if I remembered that you like the Chicago Bears and they're playing, and maybe they're winning, hopefully they're winning, at least for in my household's sake, right? They're winning. Then, you know, I could text you and say, oh, did you catch the game? And this and that. That's the connection that you're looking for. Because,
right, because you didn't reach out to them going, hey, are you still looking for a house?
right.
It was, hey, did you catch that game? And they're like, if they don't have you saved to the phone, they'll be like, well, who's this? You're like, well, it's your favorite realtor, you know, like,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so when you make that connection, then that's when, you know, when you're reaching out to them on things other than buying or selling property, right? Then people are going to take that call, but they're going to cringe if they see your name pop up and they're like, oh, Eleni's calling again to see if I'm going to sell my house. Like, I don't want to talk to her, you know, because that's the only time she calls me is, are you looking to sell? And are you looking, you know, nobody wants that. But if they're like, oh, Eleni's calling because, well, the Bears just whipped my team, you know, this past weekend in the game. And I talk about football like I know what I'm actually saying, right? You
okay, but you know what? That's
football, and I'm
confident.
like, all right, I'll roll with it.
But you're confident, right? You're confident that you're going to talk about some football,
Exactly.
even if I get it wrong, because part of confidence is failing.
Right.
You know, is you're going to fail. And I think some of that is if you go into it knowing it's okay to fail.
Right. Yeah. And I think the other part of confidence too is it's okay to ask the question and to look for that other person, that expert that can help you avoid the pitfalls, to ask the questions. And I think that's why a lot of you are on this podcast today and listening, and, you know, and throughout these series that we do, is to hear, like, what are the things that I need to avoid and what should I be doing? Because once you are educated yourself on what you should be doing, then you know, you have the more knowledge you have, right? That's what helps you and elevates you and your whole entire business at that point. So, yeah, I think, you know, one of the things I wanted to also touch base on was, we talked a little bit about the do's and don'ts. So we talked about not being the person that calls to just say, like, hey, are you looking to buy or sell? What are some of the other things that people should be doing? Like, what are you telling your son that's a new agent, you know, to be doing in order to build up his business?
Yeah. So, it's always funny that we say going back to the basics, but the reality is the basics are what are the starting point really for everything that you build off of, right? It's always that house euphemism. You have to have a great foundation to keep building off of stuff and doing things. So if it's, you know, making phone calls, if it's talking to your friends, I'm a big proponent of what I call passive marketing, right? Passive marketing. I'm marketing without screaming at you that this is what I do or this is where I belong. And it gives you a reason to ask me a question. Like somebody might see my shirt and be like, well, what's Wise Agent? Oh, it's funny, you should ask. So I wear, like I have shoes that have, say, Realtor on them, or I have shirts and paraphernalia because it's, you know, passive market. So maybe it's a Realtor hat or a jacket or whatnot that have your branding and your logo on them that give people a reason to go, oh, so I know what you do, or they may come up and ask you that stuff. So doing that, and obviously he's still in college right now. So the fun part is he's dealing with a lot of people when they find out that he's got his license, they're like, oh, well, you know, you're helping people with houses and you're in college. And he's like, well, yeah, because eventually you want to own a house and you want to have that investment. Like he already knows his like 3-year plan is to own a house. And you know, how many kids in college will say that? And so then he projects that over to some of his friends who started asking him questions. And I'm like, which is great, because I'm like, there you can start building on, hey, have a good credit score, pay your bills on time. Here's how we can do some of those things to set them up. And so then as he gets new clients that are coming in too, they transpire at any age. Hey, what's your credit score? What are ways we can help you build that? What are, you know, things we can do? And, you know, it's funny because he had asked, he's like, well, Mom, I don't have a huge budget for marketing. And I said, we don't have to. I said, you just have to be smart about how you're marketing. I said, what are the things that you can do that will be low cost? You know, I said, so where we're at, we can do door knocking. and or do flyers like door hangers and so forth that you can kind of drop around the neighborhood to say, hey, I'm a realtor. If you have questions, reach out to me. Be that resource for people, because we already have kind of that bad where everybody's like, oh, realtor, you know, like when I told people I was in radio, they were like, oh, they wanted to talk to me. But the moment I said, oh, I'm a realtor, they were like, oh.
Yeah.
So you have that idea that you want to give them a reason to talk to you more than, you know, hey, how's the market doing? Or is it a crazy market? Or is, hey, you know, I had a toilet that has totally clogged. You have somebody, because that's that resource for it. And that's actually one of the ways that you can market to your clients in a way that isn't like super aggressive. Oh, I'm, you know, do you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell in the next 6 months? No, send out a sheet that says, hey guys, I'm building my list of contractors and I'm looking for this, this, and this because I don't have anyone. Can you message me if you have someone? And send that out to, you could do it via email, you could do a postcard. Your postcard will cost you a little bit, but an email is free. You can use it through your CRM. Yeah. You're asking a question that then has a response from them. It's not just a, hey, I sent out information to them. It's, I'm now asking for your help with something, because you're going to build that list and then you're going to return it by saying, hey guys, I want to say thanks for everybody helping me. I filled my list and I have this list of contractors. So if you need someone who does plumbing or electrical or HVAC, I have somebody that I know, love, and trust that I would love for you to reach out. And please make sure you tell them that I sent you. If you want that list, message me, or I can just send it, and you can do either. Because then again, it gets them engaged with you to say, hey, I really want that list. And how can I get it from them?
I love that. I love that. And that's definitely something that you can do easily through Wise Agent. I think, you know, doing a quick, even text message, when you were saying, I'm like, you can do a quick text like, hey, these, you know, I'm looking for somebody that can do this, or, you know, or, hey, it's spring is sprung and are you looking for a landscaper? I have people, I have resources. If you need somebody, I'm here for you. I think the other
sprinklers, right? Because you have different things for every area that are seasonal. So like, and those were some of the things that I started doing because I started seeing the need for it, which, you know, again, it's free. It's sending out a quick text message when it's spring forward time wise. And then it's, hey, it's spring, guys, you got to open up your sprinkler system. And then some of it too is going to some of these contractors and saying, hey guys, if I send you business, can I tell them I'll save you 10% off if you reach out to them and you mention my name? Oftentimes they'll do it. And then you can send out that to everybody, say, hey guys, here's a contact for so-and-so, mention my name, receive 10% off your service, right? Because we all love to save, right? Doesn't matter how much, it could be $1, but we're excited because we got to save something. Sprinklers, lawn care, landscaping, dog sitting, because obviously summertime is big vacation time. Compile babysitters out of your clientele. So you have a way to network with people, because if you have people moving in and out from other countries or states, they may not know anybody. And if you have a, hey guys, here's my, you know, CPR certified list of babysitters.
Yeah. Your trusted partners and who you are affiliated with, so then they can reach out to you and you're the resource center for them. I love that. I think the other thing is, and I'm going to share my screen here because I believe totally in a newsletter. I think a newsletter is something that you should be doing at least once a month. And I think depending on where you live and what's happening in, you know, and how big your team is maybe, or your brokerage, or if you have any help, if you're a solo agent, you know, even doing a weekly newsletter would be ideal, where you can just take what we've created, or you can create something from scratch. But I always like that semi-homemade look, you know, where you could take our monthly newsletter and you can change it all together, where you can say, I don't want any of this. I just want to come in here and I want it to be brief. And I want it to be about the 5 things that you can do this week or next week, whatever, this month around this community. And you can totally change all of that. Include images, you can include a call to action, a video where it's, you know, last year's whatever, you know, Easter egg hunt or whatever it was, right? Or St. Patrick's Day event. You can do all of these things within this and then send this out to your whole entire database, because it's something that at least what I hear when I'm talking to a lot of agents, is that most of them have not gone in to segment their audience to be able to figure out, like, what message do I need to send out to who? And this is a good way to say, like, okay, I haven't done that, and then work on that, right? Don't ignore that. Work on it. But in the meantime, I'm still going to be sending them something. I still want them to get something from me. And this would be, your newsletter would be the way to do that. And even if you have your audience segmented, writing up a newsletter, where I know an agent in Chicago, a friend of mine, where he does a weekly newsletter of, he lives in Chicago, a big metro area, where there's a lot of things to do, where he writes one for what families should be doing this weekend, what singles should be doing. And so he sends that out too, because he knows his database, he knows his audience. And so if you're single and you're, then you're doing this. And if you've got a family, this is what, I'm recommending for you. And then it's not like he's sending both of those things to everybody, because then, or one of those to everybody. I'm married and I have kids. The single thing's not going to be my cup of tea, right? So,
but you might know somebody who's single, and now that you know, you can spread the word.
Exactly. So just figuring that out and making sure that your message is getting out there to the appropriate person.
And I would also tell you, one of the things you can utilize on that newsletter, because I think sometimes people's intimidation on newsletters is not knowing what to put in it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other things that we also, as agents or business owners, forget to do is that right now reviews are everything. Having some online reviews are great, and it's sometimes hard for us to do it when we get caught up in the busy season and we don't. You can utilize that, newsletter, create a QR code that goes to some of the platforms that you want to get a review for. And like springtime's a perfect thing, right? Say, hey, everything is growing and I need you to help me grow my business. Would you please share a review? Here's a link to it, right? And if you send it to everybody, even if you only get one, then you use that leverage to the next newsletter and you say, hey, I just wanted to highlight, Eleni made a review for me last week, and I can't thank you enough for helping us grow our business during the spring season, right? So it just kind of cascades into other things that you can do and market, that it doesn't cost you money. It takes a little bit of time, but then it's exponential, because now you have another review, which then boosts all your SEO searches for other places that you go. When you highlight that somebody else did it, that gives them their 5 minutes of fame, and everybody loves 5 minutes of fame, right? So then it's going to, when you send that next one out, when you put that code on there again, now you might get a couple more people. Make sure you highlight them too. Hey, we want to thank this person and this person for also, because they know now that not only are you sending it out, but you're actually paying attention to what they say and what they write.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what everyone wants. Everyone wants to be heard. That part. And when you start talking to somebody about something that resonates to them, you'll see their facial expressions change, right? Their eyes light up, like, oh, they're talking about me, or they're talking to me about something that I'm interested in. And then what happens to the person speaking is that they'll take that body language and interpret it into confidence. And that just gets conveyed in confidence, because when I'm talking to you and you're nodding your head and you're smiling at me, then I'm like, oh, yes, this is what you wanted to hear. And now that gives me more confidence. Where if I'm saying something to you and you're just like looking away, you're on your phone, you're, checking out your nails or doing whatever, then nobody is going to be, you're not going to feel that confidence. You're going to feel disengaged, and you're going to feel like this isn't working. So that's a good read on where your confidence is and what you're saying.
Right.
And so a couple of questions that we have here. So what, if you wanted, Francisco wanted to see to track the opens of a newsletter, any emails, and I'm happy to share that, Francisco, because that is something, that's something that's really important, is being, again, like what I was saying just now, is when you're sending out an email, are they reading it? Are they Are they replying back? You want to see what's the engagement like. If you've included links in the emails, are they clicking on them? So we have within our email system here. So if you, for those of you that are just listening in, just if you click on email and then click on email contacts, you could go to the previous email tabs here. And from here, you'll be able to see your reports. you can see all of the messages that you've either created or scheduled to go out or have sent out. And then you can view the statistics. And this is a demo account, so we don't send many emails from here. But then once you open up the statistics, you can see how many people that you've sent this to, what time it went out, if you got any complaints. So this is something that you want to look at. Like, is somebody marking your message as spam? That means that that person is not interested in what you're saying. So you kind of lost your chance with that. And that's kind of the key indicator if you're talking to the right audience. So if you sent out 50 emails and all 50 have marked them as spam or unsubscribed or whatnot, then you want to make sure that you're changing up your message. Something's not happening. Something's
And I would
not
also
right.
tell them to keep track of what time you send your messages, just because there's certain times of the day that people tend to respond to emails more frequently. Early in the morning when they're having a cup of coffee and they're kind of checking stuff for the day. Usually just after lunch when they are, kind of in that lull before it's just before going home time, and not really wanting to do work time. And then there's kind of another like later evening, I would say probably 7-8 o'clock, where like kids are gone to bed, it's post dinner, and they kind of do some follow-up checks for email and things that's coming in. But I usually track some of that stuff so that you know what you're sending and what's the best time to push those emails out for best open rate.
Absolutely. And you want to do A/B testing on that. Like, you want to grab an audience and say, okay, if I'm going to be sending this at this time, are they reading it, right away? Are they taking some time and waiting to open it? You can see all those analytics. The more specific analytics on who's opening it at what specific time would be based on that person and that contact, and that you would be able to find them by clicking on this button here. I do want to answer the question that Patricia had about will the reports show the links that were clicked and who clicked on it? So currently it'll show how many people have clicked on your links. So this is another good indicator for you on, like, are you sending the appropriate links? Is your call to action, because there should be some call to action, right? Is your call to action strong enough where they're actually, clicking on the find out more about this property, but then they didn't fill out your form. So it's probably not your email. It's probably whatever you have on your landing page that needs to be adjusted because it wasn't compelling enough to, fill out that form. And that could be the property wasn't in the right area. It probably didn't look good, the price, whatever it was, right? But then it gives you a clear indication of what that could possibly be. As far as getting that more detailed view, is that you would be able to see it from the sent contact. So from here you would be able to see, what time did I send, or what time did they open up their messages, and what happened with all of that. So that's where you would be able to see that from their contact notes in here. So then you can see I sent it at 1:30, and at 1:35, Neil opened it right away. So that's how that would work. But I think, looking at your reports are just as important, especially when you're sending out emails or any kind of messages. It's that indicator of, are they accepting what you're sending? Kind of like when you're doing the face-to-face conversation, you can see their expression, or over the phone, you could hear their tone if they're excited to talk to you or not. All right. Great questions. Keep those coming if you guys have any. I know one of the, going back to the do's and don'ts for new agents, I would say they definitely should have some kind of technology, and definitely have a CRM in order to help them with their marketing efforts, with their organization, with their transaction management. You need to have that technology behind you in order to keep yourself sane. I think just
I say don't make my mistake. I've been in the business 17 years, and this is my first year getting a CRM. And I would say it's the biggest mistake that I made going into real estate. Was I always made an excuse of why I'm going to do it. I'll get it done. And then just didn't. And now I have so much to put in there, which is part of what my son's helping me do. So, that literally is what I've probably preached the most, especially for new agents. Do you have a CRM? Do you have a CRM? If there was anything I would tell you that will not only just keep you on track, help you with your marketing, it helps you with your focus too, because it reminds you, hey, what are the things I should be doing right now? And because it's kind of, very cyclical during the year as far as things that we do, once you start getting into that habit, it makes it that much easier. And that CRM keeps it in one spot instead of, hey, I'm trying to search through my phone, I'm trying to search through my email. And my son would tell you that's been one of the constraints we've had was, as he's starting to help me as an assistant, also having access to all that information. If it was in one CRM, he doesn't have to ask me, hey mom, in your email, you have this contact, but you don't have their phone number. It would be all in that one compact thing where I can say, hey, just go look in the CRM, find their name, and all their information is there. That way it's, it's like that one-stop shop for both your contacts, ways to maintain it. Because, for a number of years, I didn't do client appreciation parties, and I'm getting more into doing those and having amazing success with it. But you have to have a way to contact your clients. And if you do a quick text, they've done so many studies where they know the open rate for a text over an email is far greater, because we all have our phones and we all want to see what that text was, even if we don't necessarily know the number, we read it, right? Where with emails and stuff, sometimes it's really quick to, delete and never open it up. So that's a key function that helps with some of that. But I would say my number one is, especially if you're a new agent, your return of investment on having a CRM that you use, for the fact that it'll help you keep track of your calls. Who do I need to call? Who do I need to follow up with? The fact that it's going to help you keep with your transactions and where your transactions are, with where your, commissions are, with who my clients and how often have I, reached out or touched those clients. All factors to being successful over time that I think when you're a new agent, you think, oh, I don't need that. Oh, I'm fine right now. Well, yeah, right now you're okay. Take it from the one who made that mistake, and don't do it. If you start now inputting your people into the CRM, putting them on some small drip campaigns, newsletters, and so forth, that it's so much easier in the beginning than it is as you go forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then you have, 17, 18 years to catch up on notes and, conversations where you're like, oh, I know that this happened in their life, and I think it was in 2012. And if you're like me, right, I'm always like, how old was this child of mine? Or was I pregnant? Was I nursing? What was happening in my life when this happened? Right. You always go back and recall those things, because those are important events that have happened in, your clients' lives that you want to remember and you want to retain, because that history is important. That history is the foundation of your relationship. And then when it's documented in one location, then you can say, hey, this is where, if you do hand it off to someone on your team, they know exactly where to pick up on. They know exactly what they can and cannot do, or should not say, because they have the whole entire history there. It's like, well, don't show them this 2-bedroom, 1-bath, because that's where they came from 3 years ago, and they're looking to avoid anything in that kind of a situation. So they need more than 1 bathroom now. So you really need to have that history, and that's what the CRM helps you with. And because we can't retain it all. I mean, we all think that we can remember everything, and there's just no way. There's just no way. And a lot of times in relationship building, it's those little tiny things that you remember that that the person that you talk to has like dropped hints about, or, mentioned as by the way, that you recall, and then you either celebrate with them or do whatever, right? Whatever appropriateness is behind that. That's what makes a difference. They're like, wow, I can't believe they remembered. I mentioned it, that my birthday's in 6 months. And then here we are 6 months later, and I got a card. Like, that's crazy. I barely even remember saying that, what I said in that conversation, but that person remembered. And that means it makes a difference.
Right. And, or like house anniversary gifts, or, just any of those little things, because our clients are like relationships, right? Like when you're dating, it's the little things that matter, not those grandiose things. So having those little things to mark and and go after and do, or what make the difference. And I noticed one of the people mentioned in the comments that, she's 18 years in and she just signed up for a Wise Agent this year too. And I will tell you, when you are behind like that, that's one of the biggest things I enlisted was, I have teenage boys, and I said, hey guys, I need your help, because obviously I couldn't be constantly, I was taking my Excel file to upload it and then, do some follow up to make sure I had correct phone numbers and to make sure that I had correct email addresses and so forth. And I just admitted, hey guys, I didn't use a CRM like I should have. Like, I didn't use a contact manager like I should have. And now I'm building my business more relationship like it was when I met you. And I'd wonder if you'd help me in updating my list or information that I have for you. So don't be afraid, Cassandra, to reach out and say those things, and be okay with the fact that, hey, I'm owning that I should have had a little more in place, but now I do. Here's what I need from you if you'll help me so much, like that kind of stuff. Because people change, their emails change, their status for stuff changes. And just having that information, like it's,
Well, and that confidence comes with your authenticity as well, right? When you're authentic and you're real, you exude confidence. And so, and I love that suggestion. I think we've talked about that before. And I'm going to share my screen one more time, because I think the best way of doing that, like, hey, I'm updating my database and I'd love to get your most up-to-date information, contact information. We actually have a landing page that you can use our template, and I'm trying to find it here. Oh my goodness, my glasses are not working today. I'm like, where is it? Help me to get to know you. I'm like, where is that one template? Here we go. So you can use this template where you can talk a little bit about yourself, kind of, or you can edit this. You guys can edit all of these landing pages. But then down here, this is the important part, right? Where you would ask for their contact information. What's your most current email address, your phone number, and then also get to know them a little bit better. Like, what's your favorite beverage? What's your favorite sport or your team, right? This is stuff where, like, football season rolls around, everyone's going to know I'm rooting for the Chicago Bears. That's where I'm from. You guys all know that about me now, right? I'm not big into baseball, so I don't really ever talk about the Cubs. So that's.
But it also helps for Popeyes, right? So as realtors,
it helps with everything.
Excuses to go out and say hello to our clients and so on. And I think those little extra questions are things that kind of help out to know, a little bit more about them. Like you said, like your favorite beverage or maybe candy or that kind of stuff. Like you could take Reese's peanut butter cups and say, you're the Reese's I am in business. Like, just little
That's
silly
cute.
play on words. And just don't do it in the summertime. I made that mistake once, because then you have chocolate syrup, not chocolate peanut butter cups. But, doing little things like that, when you know a little bit of information about your clients and stuff, what things to kind of drop by. I know when it comes springtime, I try to do Popeyes for those clients that I know have kids with sidewalk chalk.
Yeah.
And then you can do a return and say, hey, I'm going to give a $25 gift card over for the best driveway art. Send me your pictures of your driveway art.
That's cute.
And then it gives you an opportunity to post it on your social media, and then follow through and say, hey, will you take a picture, either personally drop off that gift card or have them take a picture when they get it in the mail and have them text it to you, because say, hey, I'm doing some marketing. Would you be okay if I used a picture of you with your gift card for your yard art? And I'll put the yard art picture up with them and their gift card and do that kind of stuff. Because again, it's inexpensive. It takes a little bit of time. But the give and take of it, right? Because it wasn't just I called you to see, do you know anybody looking to buy or sell? But you did this, the chalk and the art and having fun.
Yeah. And this is something, you can use this to obviously build that relationship, but then, one of my pet peeves is when I go on social media and I see in like some of these real estate groups where people are crowdsourcing, like what client appreciation gift they should buy after they do a closing with somebody. They're like, oh, my client just, bought this $750,000 home for me. What do you think I should get them as a gift? And I'm like, why are you asking us? We don't know these people. We don't know them. You know them. You should know. You know, I mean, you should know, like, hey, it's moving day. I ordered pizza from your favorite, you know, place, or I ordered your dinner from your favorite place. Here's, you know, something to help you out, you know, when you're moving in, or whatever it is, or their favorite flowers, whatever it is. Or if you're taking a new client out, maybe for some showings, or an existing client, you know that they have little kids, bring a coloring book and some crayons to keep the kids occupied. All of those little things that you do matter and make a difference in the other person's life, where then they feel heard, and everything else that we've been saying, right? They feel like you understand them and that you are on their side and you are the expert in what you're doing. And because you have a system in place, that's what helps you keep yourself so organized. So I think that's
the Dollar Trees usually have their little crayon packs. And even Walmart, I think, sells them during like Easter and different holidays. They usually have like a page to color and a couple crayons in them, and sometimes stickers. And I will put them in like a container in my car, so that if we're at a property, you know, and they have little kids, that you have that opportunity to take that with you and have it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just something, you know, it could be a simple lollipop. Like, it does not have to be a big deal. You don't have to get extravagant with these things. It's just sometimes the thought that matters the most. It's just that you were thoughtful. Another question that we have is, you know, how do I overcome objections when I'm on the phone or I'm talking to somebody and they're like, oh, the rates are super high, or the inventory is super low, there's nothing for me to buy, the market's kind of challenging. What are your thoughts on that, Andrea?
So number one is always try to keep things positive, because there's always going to have, somebody's always going to have a reason or an excuse to say, oh, well, the rates are high. Well, when you rent an apartment, you're getting no percentage. I mean, that's the reality. So like, when you're in that apartment, you're paying for somebody else's mortgage. So even if you have to pay a high interest, it's better it's for you than for someone else. And it's interesting because, you know, some of the agents who've only been in the market a couple of years they're used to those really low rates. That was kind of a rarity, right. Where when I first got in, 6 was your main interest rate, and people were still buying properties and houses and so on. So, you know, again, it's kind of like being that resource, right? So number one is, hey, yeah, you might have to purchase a house at 6% right now, but what things are you doing to rate watch for them within your CRM? That could be something you post into one of your newsletters is, hey, rates dropped, tie it in with one of your lenders and get rate snapshots so that you can put it into your newsletter for the month. And so that way it's something that they're seeing and that you're providing to them, is that, hey, you know, this is where it's at. And this is, you know, that people are still out there buying, even with those, the rates where they're at. And that's the fun of it, is people are out still purchasing homes, because 6%, it's, you know, if your coffee was suddenly $10, you'd still pay $10 because you want your coffee in the morning, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's how the economy is working, right? You know, that's how it works. Back in the 80s, when interest rates were, you know, 18, 19%, people were buying. So yeah,
right. And houses still sold. Yeah. And people still moved places. So I think sometimes it's keeping that positive attitude where, you know, the rates will go up and down much like a roller coaster, but the ride must go on. Yeah. So here we are, just, you know, getting on every time and signing up to see the thrills of the ride. So if the thrill is, hey, I got the house I wanted, but I have to wait for the rate to come down a little bit, then, you know, that's where it's at. But it's your house and it's your investment, because your apartment isn't an investment. The apartment is just a place that you go. And so I think sometimes we lose sight of it's more than just a home or place to throw your stuff down.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think with all of that messaging, Andrea, at the heart of it all is that you are either the expert in that industry, or you have you're just an earshot away from that lender that can help you with the rates and help you with this. You are that place where they come to say, hey, I want to buy something, but I'm a little concerned about what's happening right now. That part of your job is to advise and to make them feel comfortable and make them feel like they have all the knowledge that they need in order to make the best informed decision for their own life. And so when you have that knowledge and that expertise, and you can't convey that message in a confident way, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in deep trouble. But when you can convey it in a way where there's confidence, and then you can support that with another authority, right, with your lender, then now you have that perfect recipe for success there, because then you can give them all their information. And if it's still a no, it's okay. If they're still like, I'm still not ready, it's okay. That doesn't mean like you're dead to me now, I'm never going to talk to you. Like, don't do that. Like, you have, like, you shouldn't ever like make somebody feel like they have to buy because they're going to hurt you.
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever,
that they're
right?
gonna, you're gonna miss out. No, because the reality is the things you should be telling them is, I'm your forever agent. I'm gonna be an agent tomorrow. I'm gonna be an agent next year. So when the time is right, I'll be the one that you're gonna work with. If now is the time, then now is the time. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. And to me, that's advice also for first-time agents, right? It was one of the things I told my son. I said, never get caught up in the money side of it, the commission that you get. I said, because they will smell that desperation on you right away, that you're trying to push them into sale because you just want the money. I said, make sure that you're making them happy, that you're helping them make a financially sound decision going forward with a house purchase, if that is the best way to do. And there's times where, yeah, you had to put them in an apartment because you couldn't find the house that met their needs at the rate that met their needs. And then you come back and you revisit. But again, that's where that CRM comes in play. Like you were talking about categorizing. You can have your ones categorized as, like we couldn't find something, they're still in an apartment, so that as you see maybe rates drop, as you see grant programs become available, or secondary loan programs where they can get closing costs or down payment assistance, you can be sharing that information to those groups that really need it, so that not only are you top of mind for them as a realtor, you're relevant, because you're making the relevant as well as being that resource for all that information. And again, it's work, because I find some agents, they're like, well, that's not my job, it's a lender's. And I'm like, well, no, it's some of your job. But if you have a lender or two that you're working with, they'll be more than happy to let you know. And it's like the telephone game, right? But we're accurately telephoning, because we're going to be like, hey, they give us the information. We're going to take that information. We're going to give it to our customers so that we can give them that great experience. And sometimes when rates drop, it's not just the people that are looking to get in homes. It's some of those people that are already in the homes, so that they can refinance and then get that savings, because we all love to save.
Right. And then you're the catalyst that, introduce them to the lender that helped them buy down their rate or whatever, or refinance and get a better rate at it all. And again,
When
it's
they
just
tell
a win
people,
for anyone.
right?
Yeah. And then
Because
it's a
they go,
win.
oh my gosh, my realtor helped me save money, because she told me my rate was going down. And they're like, oh really? My realtor didn't tell me. Who's your realtor? And that's where some of that comes into play.
Exactly. And that's how you get the referrals, right? Is when they're spreading the word of mouth of you, and not because you've asked them, but because you did right by them. And
correct. And I will tell you, those are the best calls to be making.
Yes.
There's nothing more confident about being able to call somebody that got referred to you because of some good deed you did, because you're calling going, hey, so-and-so referred you to me and said you needed some help. And they're like, oh yeah, they said you did this. And oh my gosh, like your bucket is so full.
Yeah. I love that. Well, and we're running out of time. I love talking to you, Andrea. And it's always been fun to talk with you. And we actually got to meet a couple of weeks ago. So that was fun. I think I might be missing you this summer at another event, because I'll be out of town, but I'm excited to hear more things about your success and your son's success, and from all of you guys as well. So I will be back on the webinar the 28th. I'm going to be out of town next week, and then I'm just all over the place. So next week, we're kind of continuing on this series of like confidence and just kind of boosting that. And next time that I'm on with Key Assad, he's a mindset coach. And so we're going to be talking about how to achieve the mindsets for success in real estate. So it's kind of on the same, theme of confidence and mindset. And so we're going to be talking about that. So thanks so much, Andrea, for chatting with us and imparting us some wisdom from you. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me here. We'll have to do it again.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everyone. I'll see you guys all on the 28th. And then I wish you all a good rest of your week. Thank you.